Great to see you here. You started with the second video in this chapter, or when you have the course only about quality, this is your second video of that course. Now, here we're going to talk about quality. What is quality about? What is the definition of quality? And we will look into some different definitions that are important and that you should know before we start with this course. The first element is about defining quality. And the American Society for Quality defines quality as the totality of features and characteristics of a product or service that bears on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. So basically it's about what the customer is expecting, what are the stated needs that people think, what has been written, but also when we buy something, we may expect some implied needs that are not necessarily described or written on paper. Now, when we look at quality, we also have to make the distinction between quality and grade. And here we have to be careful because people sometimes mix the definition, mix quality with grade, and it's important to understand what quality and grade really are. First of all, quality refers to the way the promises are met. So when you buy a certain product, you buy a car, and they make a promise that your fuel consumption will be below a certain level, or that you can drive a certain distance with your battery when it's fully charged in certain conditions. So these are all kinds of promises. And when you buy the product, when you get a product, you see what you are really getting. And you want to say, hey, is this really true? Quality can also be about repairs and expenses that have been sold with the idea of the car. They say, okay, you have less expenses, less maintenance, less problems with this car. So all these things are about quality. It's about the promises that are made and how are these promises met. Another element is in fact grade. And grade refers to the price of the item that you consider. For example, Mercedes, Ford, or a Toyota car. We know that most of the Mercedeses are more expensive than Fords or Toyotas. Now that's the price difference. Now, quality and grade are different. Grade only refers to the price, but is that Mercedes car really of higher quality than a Ford or a Toyota car? Now, we already know that when we looked at cars, that Toyota was really exceptional in quality, and still today the quality of Toyota or other Japanese cars are, like Lexus, for example, are really of high quality. All the reviews are coming in, and those people are really appreciated by the people. Now, typically when we look at high-grade products, like more expensive products, a more expensive car, we expect let's say, a higher quality than when we buy a lower grade product or services, but it's not necessarily the case. It is really possible that you buy a high grade product, an expensive product, and that your quality desires or expectations are not met. Now, these are things that the people found. For example, the people under you who have let's say, knowledge about cameras. We know Hasselblad, we know Leica. Those are really brands which are sometimes even called legends. And when Leica started with digital cameras, it was completely new. At first, they didn't get the quality that was expected from Leica. Same things happened with Mercedes and other cars, or with other products that came to the market. Although being more expensive, it's not necessarily that they fulfilled all the expectations. Now, like I said, high-grade products, when you buy them, you may expect a higher quality than lower-grade products, but it's not necessarily the case. So there is a clear difference between quality, the promises, and the price we pay. An interesting view on quality or on expectations is the Kano model, which has been developed by Noriaki Kano in 1984. And here we look at expectations. In the horizontal axis, we see to the right the level of fulfillment of expectations, while on the left-hand side, we say, well, they don't fulfill expectations. And we see on the vertical axis the customer satisfaction. Now, normal requirements, they are in fact showing a linear evolution when the expectations are fulfilled and when we have in fact the requirements are increasing, the customer satisfactions increases when those expectations are fulfilled. Now that's with the normal requirements. The normal requirements evolve in that direction. Now we may have some exciting requirements, some requirements that are not really expected, but the product has them. They're not the normal requirement. It's something really exciting that you find that the product has some special features, and you see when you have those exciting requirements, the customer satisfaction increases rapidly. On the other hand, when you have expected requirements, which are in fact not really there, you expect something and you don't find them, it means that it's in fact leading to customer dissatisfaction. You may go to a restaurant where you go to a McDonald's, you have normal requirements which you have there, and these are in fact fulfilled. Now you go to some restaurant, you expect a nice place to sit, a nice environment, nice music. These are basically normal requirements, but there may be some exciting requirements. For example, a special event, special food that they offer, special service to you, which will increase your customer satisfaction. On the other hand, you go to a highly recommended restaurant, you expect some special service, special food, special offers, good taste, and those are not fulfilled. Well, when that happens, you really come into what we call customer dissatisfaction. So the things that may go down, may go up, all are expressed in fact in this model, simple model by Noriaki Kano. So we try to have the normal requirements fulfilled, and we try to have some exciting requirements that will help us. And of course, we try to avoid, or we want to avoid, that the expected requirements are in fact below expectations. So these are things that we have to consider. When we look at quality, we have to look also at the dimensions of quality. Quality is important when we consider the quality. We have to verify the expectations with the performance. And we can also see that in the Kano model we saw in the previous slide. When the two measures are equal, the customer expectations are met. And when the performance is better than the expectations, then the expectations are exceeded and the customer has a higher level of satisfaction. On the other hand, when the difference is negative, the expectations have not been met and we have a dissatisfied customer. Of course, we can define quality related to products and services, and we can create what we would call a conceptual framework for both. So it's very important to see what is that conceptual framework? What are the elements that we have to look into? What is important for products and services? Now, based on that conceptual framework, we have to state the dimensions in specific. We have to have measurable characteristics, and that's what we're going to do in the different slides that follow. We are looking first into the conceptual framework, and then we are looking at some examples where we have measurable characteristics. When we look at products and quality, we have to look at the dimensions that are important to judge product quality. First of all, the performance. It's related to the main characteristics of the product. Speed of a car, acceleration, parameters of a camera. We also look at the aesthetics, the appearance, the smell, the taste. How is it easy to look at a camera, it may look nice, or when you have a camera that doesn't really look nice, it may not give you a certain feeling. These are things. How does it, when you touch the camera, how does it feel? Is it easy to work with it? There may be some special features like extra characteristics that are there that could help you. For example, special recordings, special elements that have been added to make your experience more satisfying. We'll also look at conformance, is compliance with the design specifications. You write down those specifications and you want to see that your product basically is conform with those specifications. Reliability, operation without failure. We talk about mean time between failure, mean time between removal, mean time to repair. These are all elements, and it basically means the MTBF is what is the theoretical calculation before you have to replace some parts, and it's typically used, for example, in aviation. When you have to remove certain equipment, you can calculate this and you can say, okay, that's basically the probability that a certain item will have to be replaced within a certain period. The MTBR, mean time between removal, is basically the actual measurement. What are the real parameters? When do we have to change a specific equipment? And the last, mean time to repair, is when the tool is broken, how long does it take before it can be repaired? So it's also some important elements that we have. Durability is the expected lifespan of the product. Durability can depend a lot on the utilization of the product, what you expect, and you have to design it to get a certain durability. Perceived quality, there are some elements that people are looking at the reputation of the products. I bought a Fujifilm camera. People have a good reputation about Fujifilm. People of Nikon, they love certain, or Canon, or Leica, or Hasselblad. These are all elements that are important. Serviceability is about how repairs and complaints are handled when something is wrong with your tool or with your product. How does it work? How easy can it be repaired? And the consistency is in fact related to the variability of the quality. How well is the quality consistent? What is the variability? It should be limited, or there should be no variability related to that. Now that's about products. Let's have a look at service quality. There are some conceptual differences, of course. Now, to judge service quality, we also have 9 dimensions, and its convenience. For example, availability and accessibility can be a website, can be an application on your phone. Reliability is about, is the service dependable, consistent, accurate? When you have the connections, for example, does the service provide you the availability that you want? Responsiveness is when the people who are providing the service, how willingly are they to assist in case of issues? How is the communication? The time is also the speed of service delivery. In some cases, it may be very important that your service, for example, upgrades or installations, are provided very quickly. We also talk about assurance. It's related to the knowledge of the personnel which is in contact with the customers. We want to have people who can help us, who know what to do, or who know the processes, how to help you in the best way. We also have courtesy. People like to be treated well. So when you call into the help desk, for example, how well are the people treating you? Are they polite? And you may imagine when you have a problem and you contact the company, you may encounter some stress, you may be stressful. How do the people of the company deal with that. Tangibles, you look at the facilities, the equipment, and the materials that the people are using. If you're buying a very high-level service, you don't accept them to be sitting in some dump or in some crazy tent or in some small apartment where it's only one person dealing with you. We also have consistency. We want to have the same level of the service repeatedly. So when we have internet connection, we want to be, let's say, able to count on the speed and on the elements like that. And of course, we have to look at the expectations. Do we meet or do we exceed the customer expectations? I recently got a new internet connection, 150 megabits per second. I can adjust it, and I'm really happy. It's even better than what I expected, because you always have problems. They never deliver what you expect. And in this case, it's really exceeding my expectations. I have very high uploads, very high downloads, and the people were very helpful when I was using the service at the beginning. Let's have a look at some examples of the characteristics. When we have those dimensions, we have to translate them in measurable characteristics. First example, a digital camera. I already spoke about the digital camera that I bought. And my goal to buy the camera was to make videos for trainings. And I looked on the internet, what are the recommendations. Of course, when I look today again at the internet, I probably would have bought a different camera, but you have to look at the situation. For example, one of the elements that I was looking at is the time for recording. For example, typically those mirrorless cameras, they warm up quite easily. How long does it take before the camera stops because overheating, or before the battery is exhausted? There are also some features which were important for me, like setting the exposure, the focusing mechanism, and recording quality of the videos or still pictures when I need them. Quality of the sound and the video, HD, 4K. Sound, I was not so happy, but I bought an additional microphone to increase the sound, to improve the video. I had to do some lighting, but these are normal things that we have to look at. One of the features I found, which I didn't consider at the beginning, is using the camera as a webcam, and it's working very well in that area too, certainly when I'm teaching some online classes. I used to work for AT&T, and we looked at wide area network connections, WAN connections. So we want to connect different customer sites over a secure data connection at a specific speed. We want to have a certain data transmission, and some of the elements which are very important for the people is the reliability of the connection, what happens with breakdowns, delays, backup options, things like that. But also very important is the help desk support, the knowledge of the people, the courtesy, their speed, and how the help desk is organized, how well are the procedures working, because these things have to be able to support the customer 24/7, and it doesn't depend on a personal assistance when you have somebody is doing it for you. No, the system should be working even when the normal people who are dealing with the customer are not available, just to guarantee that the service is always available. So this was the first introduction, our second video in this part about quality. And it shows you what quality is about, how we can set some characteristics, how we can look at different dimensions of providing quality. Now, in the next slides, we will continue, and we will continue the course about quality management. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you, and bye-bye.